liberal governors and liberal secretaries of state, you can see that they have broken the law and gone against our Constitution with this election. And so, because of that, on January 6th, as the people of Western North Carolina sent me to Washington to do a job, I will be contesting the election.
All right, welcome back. That was Congressman-elect Madison Cawthorn of North Carolina. That's earlier today at the Turning Point USA Youth Summit in South Florida. He says he'll join a growing number of representatives who will challenge the results of the election come January 6th. And Madison Cawthorn joins us. Great to talk with you. Congratulations on the election, first off. And this is a big, quite a bold first move you're going to make here. Tell us why you're doing it.
Well, the number one reason, I was pontificating in that talk today at SAS, the Student Action Summit. And I really started saying, the reason it's more fun to be a Republican is that you can go to bed at night knowing that you are doing the right and the just thing. And so as I was sitting there, I know this will cause some political blowback. In the end, I don't believe anyone should be sent to Washington, D.C. for a career. I believe they should be sent there to do a job for the American people and to represent them. And right now, according to Article 1 of the Constitution, we see that in our state, the election process is only allowed to be altered or changed by the state legislature. But what we're seeing going on in 7 of these very key swing states is that, as you just played in that clip, we have these rogue Democratic governors and secretaries of state who were altering the laws because of a pandemic and the emergency. But as I always say, if you let your elected leaders break the law during an emergency, they will, in the future, create an emergency to break the law. And so I absolutely believe it is imperative that we do not allow them to set a precedent, that they can come in and change election laws, which then alters the absolute direction and future of our country.
Yeah.
And so I am here representing the people of Western North Carolina who want me to fight.
There's a lot of people legally that analyze this, and they say the idea of changing the rules at the last minute, allowing them to send out all these ballots and change the way we've always voted, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But there's also, it seems like there's not a lot of appetite to do anything about it because I think the fear of the blowback. You think that's true?
Oh, I absolutely think it's true. I doubt you're ignorant of this. The majority of the people in the Republican Party are spineless and they're cowards. I think that there is a new wave of conservatives that are coming up who are going to stand up and fight. And as it says in Article 2 of the Constitution, it was within our jurisdiction, within Congress, to not say that this election was exactly how it should have been. And I will not be giving my consent for us to accept these electoral votes. And because of that, I think that we need more Republicans to do this. This shouldn't be a hard decision to make. It's very clear based on constitutional law, and it's very clear based on the wishes of the people, and that's who we're here to represent.
Yeah, it's refreshing to hear you talk. You haven't been, swampified yet, I guess. Haven't been in D.C. long enough to fall in with the crowd. Like you said, I want to ask you about this bill that they're about to pass. And by the way, we do have an eye on what's happening on Capitol Hill as far as this vote is going. It just passed the House, passed it handily. We all know nobody read this bill. It's 5,500 pages long, and people just got access to it today. What do you think of the idea of passing these kinds of bills that nobody has read?
Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. I absolutely think that we should pass a new law which says, in my mind, this is just off the top of my head, but it should be one subject, one bill. And the headline and the subject of the bill should be the only thing you're allowed to legislate on. Because right now, Congress is trying to pass this emergency legislation to get desperately needed funding to the American people. But it's a $900 billion relief bill. And, if we just do some simple arithmetic, $900 billion divided evenly between the 330 million citizens of the United States of America comes out to around $2,700. But they're deciding to send us $600 checks while they're trying to offshore a significant amount, billions and billions of these dollars, to countries like Sudan, Guatemala, all over the world. Yeah. Why does that make any sense? We need to have an America First agenda where we serve the people of the United States before we start taking care of the rest of the world.
I couldn't agree more with that. I want to ask you, you're at this Turning Point thing over the weekend. A lot of young Republicans gather there. It's a pretty cool thing. When you talk to a lot of young people that aren't necessarily on the right, they talk about the idea of getting rid of the Electoral College. Obviously, Democrats love this idea because they'd probably never lose another presidential election. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's ridiculous. I mean, in this country, it's an incredible country from coast to shining coast. I mean, we've got incredible metropolitan areas like Miami and New York. We've got the Rust Belt in the north. We have, what we call flyover states that are heavy in agriculture in Minnesota and all across the Midwest. But then you have areas that are heavy in tourism, like my home in Western North Carolina, the beautiful Appalachian Mountains. Yeah. And so you're going to tell me that you want every single one of those people to be represented by what, I think it's 17 counties that you would need to be able to win a presidential election? That's ridiculous. We created the Electoral College so that we would never have a tyranny of the majority. And that is exactly what the Democrats want. They are hungry for power, and God help us if they ever get it.
Yeah. Just don't have a lot of time. Real quick, want to ask you, you want to talk about term limits in Congress. You want to do that. That's something you're up for.
That is my number one goal in Congress. I think actually once I get term limits on Congress, I will retire from public life, and I'll go back to raising my family. But I don't understand why there are people like Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, although I do like Mitch McConnell, who have been in Congress or in Washington for longer than I've been alive. They're disconnected from reality. They're multimillionaires who have armored cars, bodyguards. They stand behind velvet ropes, and they never get out with the normal Americans. So I think we need term limits. I think we need congressmen to start living in their districts rather than Washington, D.C., so that we can represent the will of the people who we are elected to do.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever designed to be a career, politics. I think you were supposed to go out in the private sector, figure something out, and then go do politics when you wanted to give something back. Madison CAWTHORN, thank you so much for joining us. Again, congratulations on the election. Good to see you.
It's an honor, brother. Thank you.
All right.